All right, everyone. Thank you so much for joining us tonight. Again, my name is Liz, and I'm excited to be talking to you about Ross. The purpose of this webinar is to really help you all understand about our student life here in Ann Arbor and at Michigan and what our experiences have been. I'm joined with three other people at Ross who I'm really excited to introduce you to, and it's only students on this panel, so we're able to answer any and all questions you have about student life here, but we ask that you to save any more admissions-related questions for the admissions professionals. We're going to start by answering a few questions that were submitted ahead of time, and then we'll open it up to any other questions that you might have. So if you do have questions, please type them into the question box, and then we will address as many as we can in the time that we have. So I'll start us off by introducing myself. So like I said, my name is Liz. I'm a second year here. I grew up in Seattle and then was in LA right before school. My background is in corporate social responsibility and philanthropy. I worked for Make-A-Wish for a few years and then went to a construction company where I did corporate giving. And then right before school, I was working for a family foundation that was associated with a sports company in LA. So I am proof that you can come from the sunny West Coast and thrive here in Michigan. I did my MAP project with Experian, and I got to travel to Texas and Costa Rica. I'm happy to talk about that. And then I interned this summer with Deloitte's Human Capital practice in Chicago, but I'm going back to San Francisco because my fiance works there. So again, happy to talk about like that West Coast transition. I'm involved with a ton of stuff on campus, most notably the Human Capital Club, the Center for Positive Organizations, and I worked as a FACT group leader this year. So I helped people who are interested in human capital navigate the recruitment process. And then I'm very excited to be serving as the GBR co-chair, which is our Welcome to It for Admitted Students weekend later in April. And I hope to be meeting a lot of you then. Right. Sorry. All right, we're going to old school.
Hi, everyone. I'm Alex Erickson. I'm an MBA 1 here at Michigan Ross. I'm actually a double Wolverine. I double majored in English literature and German literature at the University of Michigan before moving to the East Coast, where I worked in journalism, and then went through an early career pivot into healthcare, where I was the director of marketing for Bulletin Healthcare, a healthcare publishing company based in Washington, D.C. I am recruiting for healthcare, focused in the healthcare concentration, and very happy to talk about my experience as it relates to that. And as you can see, involved in the Healthcare Life Sciences Club. I'm the director of finance, involved in a Sling Health Innovation Project, which is a healthcare startup incubator. So we've essentially formed a small startup with a variety of students from areas across the university. We have PhD students, MD students, engineering and business all coming together on that. And happy to talk about some of the more social focused clubs that I'm involved in. I'm in the outdoor club, I'm on the ice hockey club, and I'm on the bus too. So if you want to talk about the bus, I'm happy to discuss that as well.
Hi, everyone. My name is Jen Newley, and I'm also a first year here at Ross. I was a supply chain major in undergrad and started off my career at Deloitte as a technology consultant. Spent 4 years there doing a wide variety of software implementations and wanted to pivot into something I was a little bit more passionate about. So came to business school to focus on the intersection of technology and beauty. So I'm happy to talk to anyone about the Retail Luxury Goods Club. I'm also my section president and also involved in the Zell Lurie Commercialization Fund. So this was my stretch goal for the year. I wanted to learn more about venture capital. So there's 6 different student funds at Ross, and ZLCF focuses on early stage investments. And it's not on the slide, but I actually just secured my internship at L'Oreal in New York. So happy to talk to anyone about beauty and also switching from the warm South to Ann Arbor. Cool.
There we go. Hi guys, my name is Mike Hines. I'm also second year, like Liz. I did my undergrad in finance and accounting at the University of Florida, and then from there moved to Atlanta, Georgia, where I was before school. I worked for 2 years as a consultant at Deloitte in the federal practice, and then I was a finance manager at the Home Depot. My math project was with a small technology construction startup, Drone in Israel. It was a really cool experience to get to do a go-to-market strategy for them, and we got to go to Israel for a week, which was a really cool experience. For my internship, I was out in Portland, Oregon with Nike as a product manager in the analytics group, and I accepted my offer to go back. So my wife and I will be moving out there after school. And a couple of things I'm involved in at Ross. Tech Club, I'm on the board for Soccer Club. Like Liz, I am a fact group leader for technology recruiting. And also like Liz, I am a co-chair for GBR. So I will reiterate her excitement for meeting you guys soon. So.
Awesome. Well, hopefully you feel like you have a strong panel here. It's cool to hear about everyone's backgrounds at Ross. Like I said, we're going to start it off with a few questions that already came up, and then we'll open it up for all of the questions at the end. So first, what's life like in Ann Arbor? Anyone? Jen, you want to kick us off?
Sure. So like I said, I'm from Texas, born and raised, and so I was a little hesitant about moving to the Midwest, also from a large city, Houston, and so I've never actually lived in a college town, but when I came to visit, I actually visited Ann Arbor 3 times before enrolling here as a first year, so I really love the community feel of everything and how close everyone is, and so I feel like even though it's a smaller town, life is pretty good. Like we're always doing things with our section or with the different clubs or organizations I'm a part of. If we're not having game night or maybe like a happy hour or going to a football game, like there's just always something to do and definitely feels like a close-knit community. And so I've actually really enjoyed life in Ann Arbor. So yeah, that's my quick 2 cents. I'm sure if anyone wants to give another perspective.
This is Alex. I'll say that I grew up in the area. I'm originally from Michigan, and Ann Arbor is by far the best town in Michigan. That said, it's also 30 to 45 minutes away from Detroit, and while there's no shortage of things to do in Ann Arbor, twice friends have all gotten together and organized relatively large group trips down to Detroit for Tigers games. Some folks went roller skating in Detroit for a birthday not that long ago. It's 25 minutes from a major airport, the Detroit airport. So I think Ann Arbor kind of punches above its weight in terms of a college town. There's plenty to do, lots of sophistication, lots of interesting things to keep you occupied.
Yeah, and I think I can add really quick. What I really like about Ann Arbor is that like kind of downtown the city is like intermingled with the campus. It's not like it's just campus standing alone. So it's really easy to get around. The public transportation's great even when it's snowing. It's always running. So I ride the bus every day from where I live. A lot of other students live close enough to walk. So we can kind of cross off one of these questions. We had a question about people bringing a car. Like I do have a car, but I had one before coming to school. I think most people don't feel the need to buy a car if they don't have one. There's plenty of public transportation and Uber and Lyft and stuff. So yeah, just kind of reiterating on everything everybody else has said.
And of course, I have to tag on this with Liz, just because I saw a question about how the Ross student experience is different from other grad students. And I think that in Ann Arbor specifically, at Greater Michigan, like the school attracts so many wonderful people that there's no shortage of things to do. So I've heard Hillary Clinton speak. I saw a comment a few weeks ago, and then next week, Angela Davis is coming to campus. So because Ann Arbor is such a great, college town, there's so many more activities going on. We've also got all the sports teams, and then you have the full life in downtown Ann Arbor, from movie theaters. It's restaurant week right now, so I went out to restaurant week last night, and yeah, it's restaurant week. Mike's excited. I'm going again tonight. So there's just a bunch of really great restaurants. My fiance, whenever he comes and visits, we always pick a new one to check out. And then there's so much going on here at Ross between clubs and events that are people putting on. I know in a few weeks we have the Michigan Ross versus the law school hockey game that we're going to have a big show out for. So I think what differentiates the Ross student experience is that our clubs here are really active, and it's very inclusive. Like clubs, they always have open events, so you're never at a shortage of things to do. So bringing to our next question, what kind of support have you received from other Rossers, either students or alum?
Oh, okay, I'll kick this off. So, excuse me. The first week of class, back in September, I actually got hurt and tore my ACL. And so it was like not the best way to start off like business school, but it really showed like how amazing the Ross community was. I received so much support from my section mates, from the different clubs I'm in. I'm part of consortium, and everyone really rallied behind me, whether it was taking me to doctor's appointments or to the grocery store, or just coming to hang out and like sit on my couch with me after my surgery. So I definitely felt that I don't know how I would have survived at any other place without such a strong community. And even though I was injured, it never stopped me from doing extracurriculars. Like I'm still section president. I still was able to go to Skeeps, which is our Thursday night, like fun activity on the town for all the business students. So I definitely feel like I received a lot of great support from students, alum, like faculty. Everyone was really flexible, like when I had to like miss something for a doctor's appointment. So yeah, I definitely feel like I got a really strong sense of what it means to like be a part of the like Michigan family.
This is Alex. One thing that I don't think it's talked about as much in terms of building a support network is LeaderX. It's a great platform for learning about the various leadership styles and being super reflective about your leadership journey. But it's also been a wonderful community of 5 people who've come together on a weekly basis and gone through the program together, and also just had an opportunity to reflect with each other, talk about our experiences, support one another when things are a little challenging, and celebrate one another when we've had success. It's been a wonderful experience so far, and something I'd highly recommend.
This is Liz. One of the things that I think was really influential for me in terms of a recruiting perspective, and what I felt was really unique to Ross, was the FACT Group support network. And for those of you who don't know, FACT groups are essentially recruiting support groups. So you're aligned to 1 or 2 MBA 2s who successfully recruited for the industry or role that you're interested in, and then you're with 3 to 5 peers from your MBA class who are also recruiting for that. And you meet on a weekly basis, and it just helps you keep accountable. And for me, I didn't realize like the recruiting journey, all the preparation that went into it. And it was really helpful to not only have those MBA 2s who could tell me exactly like what to do and what I need to be doing when, but then also my, at the time, fellow MBA 1s who were feeling like the same stressors or excitements, or even just a pulse on things that were going on. And what I love about Ross is that we're a very collaborative environment. And so I mock interviewed with my peers in my FACT group. We cased each other over winter break. It just made the experience so much more enjoyable, and you felt like you were in it with a team. And I think that's a really unique resource to Ross. And the one other thing that I'll add is, because I don't have a traditional business background, like I'm sure many of you don't, is what I really love about Ross is that we do so much group work. So I've been in teams where, I've had to learn finance from someone who used to be a private wealth manager, and they sat down with me before my finance final and quickly taught me what a beta was. Mike actually helped me with classes last quarter a lot. We were both in an analytics class. And there's just not that competitive environment here. And I don't know if I could have done business school without having that support network of peers, which just goes to show you that it's an informal network just as much as there's more formal networks like LeaderX.
Yeah, and I'll quickly just highlight, because I don't want to leave out the alums, because I think they're also great. So hopefully you all have had experiences to reach out to kind of current students, and that same dynamic continues on when you're a student here. So honestly, 95% of the outreach emails I've sent to Ross alums, they give me time to talk to them and learn about their career. A lot of times they'll offer to give you referrals for internships and jobs and stuff. When I was at my internship this summer, I had some alums, one alum sat down with me 3 separate times to review my final presentation just to make sure it was on point and touching everything that needed to be covered. So they're very, very generous with their time and helping however you can. So that extends, forever, not just the 2 years while you're here.
Next up, this is a good one. Okay, what's your favorite class?
So I can take this one to start. This is Alex. I was a non-business undergrad and took Accounting 101 and Econ 101 in undergrad and had not great experiences with that. Fast forward to fall A couple of months ago, and Accounting 502 and Econ 502 or 503 were both absolutely fantastic. The professors were so much more engaging than my previous experience, and the way that we covered the material involved discussion and learning from my peers, and it was so great to have a complete 180 in terms of experience, and really what I felt like I got out of the classes at Ross versus my undergrad experience.
This is Liz. I think my favorite class was, it's colloquially called the CEO's class. I don't know what it's actually called. Business and lead in changing times.
Environment.
Something. Yeah. Everyone calls it the CEO's class. And essentially what it is you're divided up into teams, and every week your team represents the C-suite of a company facing a crisis. But you don't know what that crisis is going to be until a few days before the class. So essentially you role play. So my team was, we were Owens Corning, which is a roofing composites company, and our crisis was how we were going to weather the upcoming economic downturns and the slowdown of the housing crisis. And I was playing the CHRO, the Chief Human Resources Officer. And so you start out by your team gives your pitch about how you're going to weather the storm. And then the rest of the class opens up to just a free-for-all press conference with everyone else in the class representing a different constituent group. So I got questions about layoffs, firing, if we were going to be taking tax dollars out of the communities that we were working in. And there's nothing that can really prepare you for that experience, but it was a really good learning on your feet opportunity. And then what's really cool is that the CEOs or some sort of person in the executive team from that company actually then comes to class at the end, and they do a short press conference. So they're acting as the CEO or their role in that crisis, and then they open it up for just general questions. So over the course of the 7-week class, I heard from 6 different people in leadership and got to hear their approach to how they handle crises, but also we asked them questions about how they balance work and family life and how they pick people who they want to be surrounded on their C-suite team. And so it was just a really, really interesting class, and I learned a lot by doing. That's one of the reasons I came to Ross. And so I highly, highly recommend it if you come to Ross. Mike Barger is fantastic.
Yeah, awesome. This is Mike. I think my favorite class so far has been Mobile Innovation Development. So one, Sanjeev Kumar, I love him as a professor, super engaging. But we also just kind of jumped right in, right? So very few of us had taken Java or done anything in Java before. We took a 2-week crash course in Java, formed teams, came up with an idea for an app, and then tried to build it. So a lot of hands-on class time, just working, kind of lab sessions where my team was working on we don't have Uber Pool in Ann Arbor for some reason, and there's lots of people for recruiting purposes going back and forth to the airport. So you'll see GroupMe blowing up with people trying to kind of like pair rides. So our idea, trying in the spirit of keeping it simple, was just that you could load kind of your rides into the app when you knew you were going to and from the airport, and then we would kind of pair you on the back end and just take the pain point out of it. So, we set up kind of a login process, the database feature to store it, to capture it, to do the pairing and like send automated emails and things like that. So I don't know, it's just super gratifying to like click the buttons in the app and like watch it go from screen to screen and at least somewhat work. So yeah, that's probably one of my favorite classes.
All right. And last formal question is, what are you all looking forward to this month?
Just getting back into the swing of things here, getting ready for Winter B. I'm actually, I can go really quick while you guys are thinking. So I didn't get to go last year, so I'm really excited to go this year, but Follies is coming up. So that's, there's the group on campus, all the students, who put together a sketch show that kind of makes fun of all of us, like together, like in a, just like a fun night. So I'm really looking forward to that. I think that's one of the many staples of kind of the Ross experience. So I'm glad I'm going to get to do it this year.
I'm on a healthcare team that was accepted to the Kellogg Case competition, and so that's coming up later this month. We were one of 11 teams selected out of more than 50 that submitted applications. So it was gratifying to be accepted, and hopefully we'll have some success and learn a few things at the competition.
This is Jen. I am looking forward to our BBSA has their annual conference. So it's the, I'm going to butcher this, the Alfred L. Edwards, so the ALE conference. And so this is our Black Business Student Conference. And I'm super excited about it because it's the longest running conference at Ross. And a lot of alum come. It's also during one of the major like interview weekends. So there's prospective students as well. And we have guest speakers from different corporations coming in and talking. And so I think it's just a really great tradition that happens. And I'm just really excited. I came as a prospective student last year, and I'm working on some of the committees like planning it this year. So I'm excited to like give back and just see the conference from the other side.
This is Liz. I'm going to cheat and do two, one more professional or serious and one more fun. So this Friday, I am doing the Story Lab retreat. For those of you who don't know, Story Lab is this like quintessential Ross event where people have an opportunity to share personal stories. They can be funny, they can be heartfelt. I've heard everything from a story of the time a girl introduced her white fiance to her Indian parents and the hilariousness that ensued, to really personal stories of mental health crises or the loss of a family member. So this Friday I'm doing the story workshop for that, and I'm really excited to sort of hear the stories of my peers. And then on a fun level, although Story Lab is very fun, they just announced sign-ups for MBA, which is our charity drag show hosted by our Out for Business Club. And so we rent out a bar here in Ann Arbor, and different teams can be drag queens and kings, and they do like a dance routine, and then you compete for whoever raises the most money for a local nonprofit that serves the LGBTQ youth here in Ann Arbor. So I didn't get to do it last year, and I'm doing it this year, and I am very, very excited.
Yeah, I think what's awesome about that too is like we have those types of events for like all the different types of student groups. So there's MBA, we have a Diwali party, is it Afrobeat, I think, right, is coming up.
Latin Vibes.
A-pop, so there's like a new Asian like group.
So there's just opportunities to really like engage with all of your classmates, like in, whatever's like most important to them, and learn about, kind of their culture or places they come from. And it's just, a unique opportunity to do that. That's not like, I guess, a normal world regular thing.
Cool. Well, we are done with our formal questions, so we'll open it up. So feel free to just type in any questions that you have. We're going to try to get to most of them.
So we've gotten several questions about the cold. And so this is Alex. My wife is from North Carolina. kicking and screaming as she was worried about being frozen solid for 2 years. And last night, she actually said that it's much less bad than she thought it was going to be. It's actually kind of nice living in a colder climate, and that she's perfectly happy with the temperature that we've experienced so far.
I think we got a few questions about housing, and I know Mike alluded to this earlier, but I would say most people live within walking distance to campus. I think that is one of the nice things about Ross. I love being within like 10 to 15 minutes of all my peers. It just makes social life and all the group work we do much easier. But that being said, some people live a little bit farther away, especially if you have families. And then there was also a question about cars. I didn't have a car my first year, and I just borrowed it from a friend, and then I got my car from my fiance for this year. But I know it's very manageable, and with your student ID, actually, you can ride any Michigan bus for free. So if you do want to jump a 15-minute walk, you can hop on the bus. But yeah, I think there will be more resources coming out about housing and like where people live and when people found their spots. We do send out a list of places that are being vacated by MBA 2s, so that will be coming to your inboxes probably in April, around GBR time. But there's a ton of different places to live in Ann Arbor because it's a college town. I mean, you've got your very nice new apartments to your 10-person houses, to your like 1-bedroom or studio apartments. I think that there's something for everyone, and you can really see that when you walk around campus and you see where people, like all the different living options. And I saw that there was one question about if there's living on campus for students. The closest thing that we have is called the Munger Graduate Suites, and those are essentially like dorms for graduate students, and I'm sure you can find more information about that on the Ross website.
And just to tag on, I saw another question also around housing, like asking about family housing. And so there are different communities that I think are more family friendly that might be a little bit further, like Woodbury Gardens. I have a lot of friends that live there with their kids and their spouses, and even though it's not walking distance to campus, like they have a free shuttle that drops off right in front of Ross. So if you're not walking distance, most likely a lot of the apartments now are doing like shuttles to campus. So there's just a wide variety of living, and like Liz said, like more documentation is going to come out with more details. But definitely no worry. Like I didn't even find my housing until like September. So there's always somewhere to live.
Okay, well, we had a couple of questions about the recruiting process. So I see some about healthcare technology and also like clubs. So I don't know if Alex and Jen, if you want to share from your MBA 1 experience, since you're literally living it right now, but just some about how recruiting went for you.
Yeah, there's a ton of resources and opportunities to engage in healthcare specifically. I'm on the Sling Health Innovation team. There's also the Wolverine Venture Fund, which has a number of healthcare opportunities. There's obviously the Healthcare and Life Sciences Club, which is super engaged, particularly around recruiting. So there's no short. There's also the Healthcare Concentration, which involves taking a certain number of credits that pertain to healthcare. So there's great resources and great opportunity within the healthcare space.
So I had a little bit more of a unique recruiting experience. So I'll talk about my personal one and then ones that I'm helping out with on campus. So I'm a part of a few pre-MBA programs that did pre-recruiting in the summer before. So I spent much of my last summer doing my interviews and recruiting mainly for brand management and marketing roles. So I was lucky enough to have a few offers before classes started. However, that being said, when I got to campus, I wasn't sure exactly what I wanted to do. So I also did some on-campus recruiting. There's so many resources through our career development office or the CDO. And so specifically for marketing, we had marketing symposium in the fall where alumni come and do mock cases and extend invitations for interviews. During fall break, I went on a trek to New York with the Retail Luxury Goods Club, and there's treks like there's marketing treks, there's finance treks, there's tech treks, like healthcare treks. So during that time between fall A and fall B, you have the opportunity to travel to companies and meet with alum and just learn about recruiting. And then like right now, I think like consulting is like really ramping up on campus. So there's different interview cycles, but the career development office definitely like walks you through all of them and make sure that you're set up for success no matter like what time of the year that you're recruiting.
And I will say, because I saw one of the questions that just came through was about how to decide what to recruit for, and if you thought about, or if we thought about that before we came to Ross. So if you decide to come to Ross, and we hope that you all will, before you actually come on campus, there's a decent amount of pre-work to do in regards to starting to think about like what you value, what type of work really energizes you, what type of work environment you want to be in, and that can help you sort of narrow down your choice of what might be the best path for you. But I will say, unfortunately, the MBA experience goes by really quickly, and recruiting starts basically in October with on-campus events and info sessions and all of those things. So you don't really have the luxury of deciding of the time to pick and choose a bunch of different paths that you might want to pursue. That being said, as an MBA too, I saw how many of my friends, recruited for one path but always kept their plan B and used MAP or other learning experiences to explore that. So for example, I knew I wanted to do human capital consulting, but I did a completely unrelated MAP because I was potentially interested in like technology, and that's what my project was through Experian. And then a lot of people, they do their summer internship as a way to just see if that's a career that's good for them, and then they re-recruit. And what the great thing about Ross is that when you first come back onto campus, all of the the CDO, our Center for, what does CDO stand for? Career Development Center, Career Development Center.
All the other C's are centers, so that's why.
The Career Development Center, prioritizes MBA too. So for whatever reason, your internship's just not a good fit, or you want to do a different path, like they are there to help you. All of your other fellow MBA twos are there to help you, and then you have the whole Ross network. So there's a lot of things that built in to help you kind of figure out what the best path for you might be.
I'll say that there are many ways to go about your MBA experience, but in my experience, the more work you do now over the next 7 months or so to really self-reflect and think about what, like Liz said, what you value, what sorts of skills you bring to the table, how you might be able to best utilize those skills, and what you want to be doing after, during your MBA and after your MBA, the better position you'll be in to attack recruiting as soon as it starts, really depending on what industry you're recruiting for in September. And the better refined your stories are, and the better refined your ideas are around what you want to do, the easier time you're going to have once school starts.
I see we got a couple questions about MAP as well. So Mike and I can share our experiences on MAP, and then Jen and Alex, if you want to share your experiences picking your MAP projects, because all the MBA ones just picked them over December break. Kick it off.
You want me to start? Yeah, sure. So yeah, when I was thinking about, again, I think Liz kind of hit on this a little bit, like what I wanted out of a MAP project, like I was trying to transition to technology, right? So I felt like something tech related would be good, again, just to kind of like continue on that path of transitioning in my career. When I was ranking them, it was also important I wanted to get an international experience. I hadn't gotten a ton of opportunities to travel internationally before school. During the school, there's plenty. I've traveled to many countries now. But yeah, it was it's definitely a unique experience from my understanding of some other schools as well, because I think we're the only school that has 7 weeks dedicated, like no other classes. That is what you're doing. So you're fully engaging, 40, 50, however many hours a week with a real business problem, your client that you're meeting with at least every couple weeks, depending on the type of project. And it was just a great opportunity to like fully dive into a problem and use all of your core classes and kind of what you've learned to apply. You also have your faculty advisor who's kind of helping you along the way. You're meeting with them weekly. They're helping you solve problems. And yeah, it's cool to really get a unique experience that you haven't gotten before. So working with a startup for me was just a great opportunity to see what that was like. I tell people all the time, it's funny because I got there and kind of expected them to like know everything. And I'm like, you're asking us to like do this? Why don't you know any of this stuff? And like, they're just like normal people that may or may not have business backgrounds that are just like doing something they're passionate about and figuring out along the way. So it's kind of eye-opening there too, just to see like, if you want to open your business, you just got to kind of like go for it. So yeah, I think it was just a really unique, rewarding experience that I don't think you would really replicate anywhere else.
Yeah, I agree. So my project, as I alluded to earlier, I was with Experian, and when I was looking at MAP projects, and what I tell MBA ones is you want to go in with some sort of idea of what's most important to you. Do you want to travel and go to Africa for 5 weeks? Do you want to gain experience in the area that you recruited for? Do you want to gain experience in something that was your plan B and you're still curious about? Is it important? Do you have a partner and a family, and staying domestic is really important to you? All of that and more can be accomplished through the MAP projects, but you kind of need to go in with a game plan. So for me, I wanted to balance travel and then doing something that I never would have done before. And then because I have a sort of a nonprofit background, I wanted like a heavy hitting corporate name on my resume. So that was Experian. I was working with our robotics processing automation unit and helping them figure out how to just grow and scale. And I think one of the really cool things and what makes MAP unique is that the access that we have as students. So these companies put in a lot of time and effort to come up with these projects, and you have a corporate sponsor internally who's sort of your champion and providing you all the information that you need. And they're really, really excited to have you there. So when I was in Costa Rica with my team, we got to meet with different levels of the C-suite. That's ultimately who we presented to. But then they also took us out in Costa Rica. We had a lot of fun dinners. And so I think MAP, just that immersive experience and the priority that MAP sponsors give to the team is really unique. And I don't know if Alex or Jen, if you have any thoughts on like the MAP projects this year and how you decided.
Yeah, I think it was really important to have a game plan because it was a little overwhelming when you got the list of 100 plus projects. So specifically, since I'm switching into a career in marketing, and I wanted to make sure that I was set up for success before my internship, and so I wanted some hands-on experience doing like a real-life marketing project. So I first filtered on like which projects had like marketing, like true marketing experiences. And then similar to Mike, I also want to go international. So also looked at all of the different international experiences, and that helped me narrow down my list somewhat easily. But yeah, there's so many great projects that I was so surprised like how many big names are on there. And I was just like everything from like Uber Eats to Google, Amazon, like they're like real companies. So the fact that we're going to have the opportunity to do a real life project for them is pretty exciting.
So my approach to MAP selection was to focus specifically on healthcare, and there's a group of projects every year. This was actually one of the main selling points for Ross for me, that involve healthcare technology startups based in Israel. And I've never been to Israel and always wanted to travel there, and am super interested in healthcare and healthcare technology. And so I ranked most of the Israeli healthcare technology MAP projects super high on my list. and I'm hopeful that I will get one of those. So for me, it's a great opportunity to engage with the industry that I'm recruiting for, to work with a startup, which I think is super interesting, and then also travel to a place that I've always wanted to go to.
Liz, could we maybe hit on, we have a couple questions about partner life. Is that?
That was where I was going.
Perfect.
Go for it,
We're on
Mike.
the same page. Yeah, so I know a couple of us have, so Alex, you were saying your wife's here. I know,
Yep.
Liz, you have a partner a little bit different, like from abroad, or not abroad. Well, I mean,
San
almost
Francisco.
across
He's
the
way
country.
across the country.
Yeah. But yeah, I think the amazing thing about Ross is just like how inclusive they are about partners in literally everything. So when I was applying, oh boy, it's been a while now, 2 years ago, I guess. My wife and I watched a webinar about partners at Ross that was put on by students and Michael Lippert in the admissions office. And literally after that, my wife was like, "That's where I want to go." And I was like, "Well, that's where I need to go." But yeah, okay. But we visited. So we've been on. We've gone on partner MTREX both years, which has been awesome just to get to spend that time with other people that have relationships, again, at or not in Ann Arbor. Somebody asked about clubs for partners, I think. So Partners Club at Ross, PCAR, is kind of the one that's focused on partners and students with partners. So they put on different social events. I've been to a cocktail making class, a succulent planning class, different happy hours, holiday parties, things like that. So that's a great way to do it. But also the vast majority of clubs, I think everything except for the professional clubs, partners are welcome to go to. So my wife is in the wine club that I'm not in. She does her own thing there. And yeah, it's just any section events that we have, it's kind of you almost get asked where your partner is if they don't come.
Mm-hmm.
It's almost expected that they will come. So super engaging. And even too, if they don't live here but they come in, they're kind of accepted just like they would have lived here. So yeah, right after this, my wife's picking me up and we're going to trivia with some friends. So she feels super engaged in all aspects of this experience.
Yeah, I'll second everything you said there. The partners community at Ross is incredible. And my wife feels like just as much a part of the community as anyone else. She's actually on 2 boards for 2 of the clubs. She's on the outdoor club board and the MTREC board. And we met some of our best friends here at Ross through a partners MTREC. It was an incredible experience. We're members of PCAR, and she's loving the experiences as much as I am. Super inclusive, and it's been great.
And then I'll just add, this is Liz, from the perspective of having a partner who's not physically with me here in Ann Arbor. Honestly, for me, it worked out pretty well. I was really wanting to dive into the experience here at Ross, and had a lot of recruiting stuff going on. And so for us in our relationship, I thought it actually worked better to not have him here. Not to say that I don't miss him dearly. I really, really do. But for us, it was just having times where we communicated and regular check-ins and just letting him know what was going on with me. And then the great thing is as I said, there's always something going on at Michigan, and people in my section know who he is. They always ask me when he's coming to visit, and then we do fun things when he comes to visit. So we've gone to hockey games. He comes with me. He actually came to MBA with me last year. So whatever's going on, I completely involve him in. And I would say a lot of people in my class have partners, whether here or away. So people completely get the situation. But it's really nice also to have that kind of outlet that's not in the Ross bubble, Ross community. But we make it work, and we always have a great time when he comes to visit.
So we got a question about interactions with students from other schools and what we think sets Ross apart in our interactions with those other students. And I can speak to that pretty specifically. One of the things, actually really the thing that sold me on Ross was the community. I could sense it during the the application process and then a GPR. And then when my wife and I got here, it was abundantly clear that the admissions committee did an amazing job of scouring the globe and finding people that we would have otherwise been friends with, and who were accomplished and successful, but humble and approachable and friendly. And I was on a team that participated in the Dell case competition that happens every year here at Ross. And in the final round, you go to Dell headquarters and compete against other schools. And these were great other schools with very impressive students and very impressive presentations. But we ended up winning that competition. And I think part of the reason that we won was because we were a diverse team, both our personal backgrounds, but our professional backgrounds. And we were a team that had a lot of fun with the whole experience. We kept it light. We weren't afraid to work hard, but also joke around and not take ourselves too seriously. And we ended up seeing a lot of success because of it. And I think at the core, it was the community and the culture that Ross fosters. And that was a huge selling point for me.
Yeah, definitely. And I think some of it is that we are in a college town, right? So naturally that's going to align us to do more things together. But I also think when I talk to friends from other business schools, we just seem to do so much more as a community, whether that's these events we're going to, the Boyne Ski Weekend coming up, just traveling on trips, MTrek, the amount of just interaction and things that you do with your classmates while you're here just seems to be just a core piece of this experience, and more so than some other programs, just again given to friends I've talked to at other programs.
Yeah, I think I saw a similar question about what was the deciding factor for Ross. And I always, again, too, one's personal and one more professional. Professional, I think you're obviously making a big investment both in time and money and in yourself. And so whatever business school you decide to go to, we're hoping it's Ross, but whatever you decide, it should lead you to the professional goals that you want to achieve. So for me, when I was comparing schools, I wanted to make sure that there were the support in place for career transition, people who were switching careers, because I am a career switcher. So that was fact group, the CDO, classes that were involved, that were related to what I was interested in, and then also were the companies that I was interested in coming to campus. And you can see online all of the companies that come to Ross, but also all of the companies that people have gone to. And then on a personal level, I wanted a community where people self-selected into. So people have self-selected to come to Ann Arbor. They want to be involved on campus. And I wanted a community that was, that people were going to be all in, investing in each other and investing in the space that we were in. And I think that Ross has provided that, bar none.
Yeah, I can add on. For me, it was among other things, experiential learning was a big thing, but the network was a huge focus for me. So, coming from the Southeast, wanting to go out to the West Coast, but not necessarily knowing if I'd want to stay there forever. There's University of Michigan graduates and Ross graduates literally everywhere around the country, everywhere around the world. No matter what I want to do, where I want to do it for the rest of my life, I will be able to find an alum that is in that position. And like I talked about earlier, more likely than not, they're going to do what they can to help me, right? So I was looking at it from that long-term perspective. And also I love the kind of collegiate atmosphere, again, with all the sports and stuff. So going to University of Florida undergrad, that was a huge thing for me. I love that and wanted to get back. And now, whenever I go all over the world, you literally see people with the Block M, and they say go blue. We were hiking a mountain in Bali on MTrek, and there was people that had a Michigan hat on and said go blue, literally everywhere. It's insane, and it's just it's such a cool feeling when you can connect over that brand and that common experience. So
adding on to that, for me, something that was really important was the interdisciplinary aspect of the University of Michigan. Not only is there Ross and Ross alums and University of Michigan alums, but the University of Michigan is one of the only programs in the country to have, I think, 10 or more of its graduate programs in the top 10.
No, 100.
100.
100 of our
100 of our graduates.
Yeah, in the top 10.
100 of our graduate programs in the top 10.
Which I'm not exactly sure there's even that many graduate programs, but yeah, it's a
There
lot.
are.
So for me, coming here, focused on healthcare, access to medical students, engineering students, law school students, masters of public health, masters of public policy. These are folks who you can take classes with and who you can interact with and learn from, and it's totally unique to the University of Michigan.
Okay, I think we have about 5 minutes left, and I think that this is a really good question to end on. Yes, it's for MBA 2s, what do you think you'll miss most after you graduate? And for MBA 1s, what are you most looking forward to? And I'm going to make the MBA 1s answer it first.
All right. So I guess this is more like what I'm looking forward to for the rest of MBA 1 year and then going into MBA 2 year. I kind of like Mike, was very interested in global opportunities, and there's both official and unofficial opportunities, and I got to visit 3 new countries on my MTrek and then go on an international trek over the Christmas break, and I'm really looking forward to, I just got accepted into the Israel Global Immersion Program, so that's 2 weeks where I get to take class in Israel, and then I'm going to lead my own MTrek over the summer and just, visit more countries. So I'm pumped and excited by all these opportunities and the fact that I get course credit to, and possibly I'm going to study abroad next year. So yeah, I look forward to getting more stamps in my passport.
So along that line, I had an amazing time on my MTrek, my partner MTrek, last August, and I'm super excited to pay that forward and lead an MTrek. We're going to Galapagos and Panama, and I'm really excited to get to meet all the incoming MBA 1s and lead folks to an interesting place that they've never been to before and that I've never been to before.
Yeah. Oh, I guess I'll give a professional one too, just because we both did fun ones, which is great. I also am just really excited to take more electives. So core was great and I think a really good foundation, but now we have the opportunity to take courses that we're really interested in. I just applied for a dual degree, which I never thought I would do, but I can complete it in the 2 years. Speaking on the fact that we've got 100 top 10 programs. So just the fact that I'm going to be taking really cool, interesting classes is something that I'm also looking forward to.
For me, professionally, this isn't technically next year, but towards the end of this year and moving into the summer, I'm really excited for my Sling Health team to potentially, if things go well, actually turn into an entrepreneurial opportunity. We've gotten some good feedback from kind of the first interactions we've had with the broader Sling Health community, and we're hopeful that we can actually commercialize the product that we're developing, which I think is a super unique opportunity.
Yeah, awesome. Yeah, I would say I guess we're about to start our last 100 days. As the purpose of this is to reflect, so I guess I can start now. I think there's not going to be another time in my life when I live within a 5-mile radius of 400 other people that I'm this close to, right? So just everything we've talked about, right? It's just so easy to do, and that's just going to get that much harder the rest of your life. I would say I'm super excited. There is 5 other rosters coming with me to Nike, so hopefully we can kind of have a little microcosm of that community out in Portland. And some of our friends up in Seattle who are close. And then on a more professional note, I think it's just this is the last time I'm going to be in school, right? And the last time I'm going to have the freedom to just kind of learn or dig into like something I'm just curious about on a whim and have the resources and the people there to like just do it that quickly. So I think, yeah, sometimes you get caught up in recruiting and stuff and you don't necessarily like appreciate that stuff and think about it. But yeah, I mean, that's definitely going to be a change once we move.
Mike said exactly what I would have said. I will definitely by far miss the people, not only just the social aspect of having everyone so close to me, so I can just, go out for drinks or trivia or restaurant week. But also this is the first time that I've been surrounded by such like driven and smart people who really challenge me. And I think that this will be, not to discredit where I'm going, but I think it will be maybe one of the last times where I'm truly surrounded in that environment, where we're all like pushing each other and challenging how we think, but also working towards like that common goal. And we have so much invested. So I'm really going to miss that aspect of the community. But I'm just really looking forward to kind of bringing out into the world what I've learned here at Ross, both from like how to work with people, some of like the data stuff that I've learned that I didn't have before. And I just feel like I'm coming out like a much more confident, well-rounded leader. And I'm just really excited to see where that takes me. And then also to stay in touch with everyone and having reunions.
Yeah.
So we are at time, but and I know we didn't get to everyone's questions, but feel free. We're all student ambassadors, and you can find our emails. We'll also all type them into the comments box right now, so you have them. But feel free to reach out if you need anything, or to any of the student ambassadors. We're all here for you. And go blue.
Go blue.
Go blue.
Bye.